Greetings, all. Well, recently I have been reviewing some Frank Zappa live recordings that were done and that have been placed on the internet. So many of his live performances. Now, I promise, honest, this video is about growing, farming, etc. It is not necessarily about rock and roll, but uh, I have long been a fan of Frank Zappa. I would see his concerts back when he was with the Mothers, and then eventually, as he changed bands and started adding different personnel, continued to follow him around. Well, back in '60s, sort of '70s period that Frank really rose up in, there were a lot of social changes, and there are a lot of people in music who were attributed to, helping promote these social changes. You have, songs about Sky Pilot. Songs about, Bob Dylan, for instance, who long has claimed, look, man, I just chain words together. But people claim, Bob had social commentary and he affected things and so on. Well, anyway, I think that when it comes down to musicians that affected society or at least made social commentary during that period, I think Frank Zappa was the top of the head. Yeah, there was no one who touched us the same way Frank did. Now, he wasn't a anti-war type guy. That's what was popular at the time. But he really commented on so many things. Plastic people, all this stuff. Well, the common man in the street ordinarily accepted Frank as being a rock and roll clown. Yeah, he's a funny man. And he was. He was a heck of a clown. I remember with the Mothers, the couple of the guys with a 6-foot-tall stuffed giraffe that had a great big schwanz sewn on the end of it, sprayed the first 6 rows at the Auditorium Theater in Chicago with whipping cream. Clowny, absolutely, rude, whatever, But when it came to music, you look at Downbeat magazine, which is a jazz business magazine. Frank was always getting, top ratings on his albums and stuff. Amongst people who were deep into music, Frank was, wow. I don't believe there was ever another genius in rock and roll to his peer, truly. He was almost more of a classical and orchestral musician. His compositions were amazing. And then he would surround himself with people that were amazing. Now, Ruth Underwood, for instance, on the cut I'm going to mention, she's just incredible. I love her. She was with him most of the time, no matter what band. Vibe player. Well, while reviewing some of the ancient live Frank Zappa recordings, I ran across one that I always loved, and it was Heading to Montana Soon. Heading to Montana soon, gonna be a dental floss tycoon, yippee-yi-okay. Yeah. And then Ruth on the vibes. Drives me crazy. Yeah, he's riding on a pygmy pony with zircon encrusted tweezers. He plucked the floss. Anyway, so that I believe, or at least it surely appears to be, a commentary sort of about the back in the '60s, '70s. There was a back to the land movement. That was a heavy duty thing, and a lot of it was completely senseless and just really weirdly dreamy. And it didn't, much of it didn't survive. Now, some of it did. And what did, it really became some of our good organic farms today. There was a lot, I followed it. That's how I got here where I'm at. Yes, yeah, I did the same thing. I didn't go to Montana, and I didn't grow dental floss. As dental floss is, by the way, predominantly a synthetic fiber, just for the rest of you who might care about that one. But Yeah, I sort of see a resurgence of this happening lately. People are bailing out. Well, Puna is one place they're coming to, or they think they're coming to. And I hear a lot of stuff from people about, oh, well, vanilla, for instance. Now, the vanilla is not necessarily from people when it comes to Puna, but vanilla is one of the hottest videos that I actually have. Some of my vanilla videos just get hit. There is a fad or something about vanilla at the moment. It may be winding down. I haven't looked at the world price. I think it was stimulated by there was some manipulation in the market that drove the price through the roof. And it's like, wow, vanilla's worth the price of gold. Let's all grow it. Well, yeah, we have it here, and you can grow it in Hawaii. It is a crop. It is a crop here, but it's Hawaii is actually about the only place in the U.S. where it is a crop. See, you can play with it in the greenhouse in Michigan, but I don't even think Florida is really suitable for it. They get freezes now and then, and so on. Well, anyway, maybe Puerto Rico and probably St. Thomas, I think, would probably work out. It's a fully tropical orchid that vines, but there is so much interest. Yeah, it's one of my big videos. You know, I could tell you from having raised it, it's troublesome. And if you're thinking you're going to go into the vanilla farming business, I'm moving to Montana, so I'm moving to Puna soon. I'm going to be a vanilla tycoon. Yeah, forget it. Yeah, I mean, if you got the money to buy some of the vanilla farms that have been up for sale here, there's been some people who went in and gone out of the business where it's developed. Vines are there and so on. I suppose it could make sense, but that's pretty expensive. Most people are thinking about, starting from scratch. We're going to grow out a whole field of vanilla, and I'm going to ride around on my pygmy pony and anyway, the the crop takes ages. I mean, here, at least at my elevation, we're talking about 5-6 years. In the meantime, you have long ago starved to death, got on food stamps, and you're living on welfare if you didn't have another plan. And so this is the problem when people get attached to a crop. I want to grow vanilla. Yeah, a kid in Indiana talked to me about that. He was so disappointed when he found out it was tropical. Or attached to a place. Montana soon, none of it may be suitable for what you really wish that could happen here. Just to touch vanilla. Vanilla would work here because of the fact that most of Puna doesn't have any soil, and vanilla doesn't need it. It's an epiphyte. It's a good choice, actually, in a way. But what are you going to do in the meantime? That's the point. This is all dreamy. It's all dreamy stuff. My personal thoughts on people who really do want to try to go into farming something. Well, first off, like Frank said about people who wanted to go into rock and roll, don't. Yeah, that's my first suggestion. Don't. Find something else to do, right, Gracie? There's Gracie. Bill's got the camera on. But, if you insist, it is possible, if you're in the right place at the right time with the right thing, to make money on farming. It can be done. Occasionally I've done it too. But it's probably not on the popular things that, everyone's going exotic fruit, right? I honestly, I don't know if we have enough of it here, but they won't let us ship most of this stuff off this island without irradiating it into the mainland anyway, so most exotic fruit sticks right here. And frankly, some of it's really good, but I like pineapples, oranges, bananas. These are here not exotic at all. This is mainstream food. I admit to having been part of a Back to the Land movement myself. I chose Wisconsin as a location, and the reason I did was, aside from family history in that place, in farming, the soils are good. In many, many places, they were glacially deposited, and then sometimes prairie origin soils that were really exceptional soils. I will say, the finest soil I have ever had to put a shovel in and grow a crop on was in Wisconsin. Yeah, it was a Santiago sand loam, marvelous earth. Well, of course, everybody up there is doing dairy cows. Yeah, well, I suppose, get in line with everybody else and you go through the program, you can probably make something, maybe make a living on it. It's not easy. But, anyway, niche is usually the thing, but finding a niche that's actually operating within the areas where you're at. I hear it here in Puna. People want to come here and they're thinking they're going to raise their own food. And I hear people telling me, I'm going to raise food and I'm going to give it away on the roadside. Guess what? Raising food means bruised knuckles, okay? It means sore backs. It means massive amounts of perspiration. It usually means considerable input of money and resources. Because I don't know if anybody's noticed with the Pteropsaurus what's happened to seed. A lot of our seeds imported. Wow, as the price soared, it's gone through the roof. And if you're going to grow any amount of anything, you're going to pay a massive amount of money just to get your hands on the seeds. Of course, the materials, moss, peat moss. Again, I think 33 to 30% increase on peat moss. So the media you might be using to start your tomato in is up. Fertilizers, ever since Putin moved into Ukraine, the grain went through the roof, but there was also something that had to do with fertilizer. Fertilizer prices are getting crazy. Okay, so dreamy, dental floss bush. If you think you're going to sit on the roadside, which the cops won't let you do around here anymore, but if you can manage to actually pull off enough food from a field around here, especially if you're living on lava rock, which is most of the area, you'll be lucky if you could feed yourself and a few other people in the house. I'm serious. This is one of the harder places to raise many crops that I have ever been. Yeah, it's very difficult. Anything that a bird can put its beak into, the birds will destroy it. Okay. I even had the doves eat all my cover crop seed when I threw it out the other day. So birds are horrible pests here. Rats will chew into everything you have if you don't go out after them and kill them. They must be dispatched if you're going to farm. Can't farm with rats. Okay. What is it, like terrorists? There's no negotiating with rodents. Yeah. Anyway, all I'm getting to is if you really manage this, and you get on down, and you get something out there in that field that's actually happening, the first thing you better start thinking about is how you're going to move it while it's prime at the good market price, so you can pay for the seed, the fertilizer, all the sweat and the sore back, the ibuprofen, and everything else you're going to need to be able to do that. This ain't much fun, honestly. And Hawaii is a very difficult place for many crops. If you happen to be down in the Waipio Valley, tallow or taro, you can raise poi down there. It grows really good. I do fairly well with some of the taros here on dry land too. There are various types. But if you're native Hawaiian or if you've been living here your entire life, you probably like tallow. As for the rest of the people who are thinking about coming here, like, I want to grow vanilla, dental floss, and exotic fruits, tell you what, poi is a real disappointment. I like it in waffles. That's my favorite way to eat poi. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of like that, So, cabbages. Yeah, I had a gentleman walk in here the other day who had dreams about growing cabbages in Puna, and I will say, I think that's very logical, if you have soil. If you're one of the people here in Puna who do have a pocket of soil that you can actually go out and, plant row crops in, which these areas exist, and, for cabbages, probably best in Puna, up towards Volcano. There's some stuff off Wright Road back there. I don't know whether you can get into that, but there is soil. Yeah, there's soil. The elevation's cool, and I've seen a guy back there with tractors plowing that stuff and planting broccoli and stuff. Yeah, cabbage is actually it's a ubiquitous food here. They stick it under all your chicken katsu. Okay, cabbage is you wouldn't think, but it's true. It's a major vegetable. Probably a lot of historical reasons why, but it tends to grow pretty well here in some of the cooler elevations. We have plenty of that because, like over on the other side of Mauna Kea over here, there is a deposit of sandy loam that came down from the last ice age, and it's in a high elevation, relatively at a cool place with some fair moisture. That's a good place to farm on this island. Yes, and they do. There's all sort of crucifers over there, and there's some hoop house tomato and cucumber and stuff. Yeah, it's a really good spot here for that. But they got the soil, they got the weather, there's some water, da 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 da, and they got the skill. Yeah, traditional Japanese farming families working over there. They know what they're doing, most of them, quite well. And this is another suggestion for people who think they want to come here and try to feed themselves or feed others, etc., grow crops. My suggestion is enroll in the tropic agriculture courses here in Hilo. Seriously, get an education on what you're trying to do. It will help you. It will help you. Because, boy, this island's a 101. I grew stuff my entire life. And I tell you, if you want to feed yourself and a family, nothing like the Midwest. I'm serious. Generally, in past history, it rained there, the soils were good. Most of the crops that you're familiar with grow well in that climate and so on. Yeah, we used to feed ourselves there. And we fed extended families even. Yeah, I used to truck potatoes off to almost everybody else that was related to us. Yeah, I grew potatoes for everybody. Grew all my mom's bell peppers and so on. Easy place, generally. Fairly easy place. Here, not so easy. It's good for hibiscus. Kalo grows real good. Hang loose. Aloha.